Hello everybody, welcome to this week's Friday at 5. I am Victoria Longo and I am here this week to talk about emotions. Specifically what brought this video on was frustration and aggravation that I experienced myself earlier this week. And I've learned a lot over the years about what emotions really mean because at least I was never taught what emotions are for. It's not something that people discuss. It's discussed that we have emotions, right? We're happy, we're sad, we're angry. Maybe you've heard that, nobody is responsible for our emotions except for ourselves. But, what does it really mean? For me, way back when, I really used to believe that other people were responsible for how I was feeling, right? So if I was behind somebody who was driving slow in traffic, and I grew frustrated because I was going to be late or because I couldn't go as fast as I wanted to, which maybe was just the speed limit, it was their fault, right? If somebody canceled on me or didn't show up or blew me off or stood me up or whatever, it's their fault that I'm angry, right? And so a lot of my early life was spent being a victim to everybody else. And, we might not think of victimhood in this way. We might think, you're a victim if you have a big bully in front of your face, criticizing you, cutting you down, saying mean things to you, and you can't do anything about it, right? That's kind of the victim mentality. Or if you're hurt or part of a tragic accident, right? You're a victim. But really, when we break it down, if we are letting other people control how we feel, then we are at the mercy of everybody else and everything else. So essentially, we're powerless, right? We can't do anything about how we feel. We can't change how we feel unless something outside of us or something else changes, right? Until somebody does what we want or meets our expectation or whatever the case may be. So, and usually that's the biggest reason for our emotions and our frustrations and aggravations is that there is a situation or person that's not acting or behaving the way that we expect them to, or that we assume that they should, right? In the case of being stuck behind somebody slow in traffic, it's the fact that they're going slow, right? We expect them to go the speed limit or faster, especially if we're late. And there's no mention of it's our fault that we're late, that we left the house. Now, even if it's because a dog was acting up or a kid that was acting up, we knew what time we had to be somewhere. If we didn't try, now accidents do happen, incidents do happen, and so maybe at the last minute, we got held up. But for the most part, we can kind of plan for these things to prevent them. And so then it doesn't matter if somebody's going slow in traffic. But usually if we're already frustrated when we're leaving the house because we're late, and then law of attraction, of course we're going to get behind somebody who's slow on the highway. And of course the rest of our day is just going to go this way because how does, what else is the universe going to deliver? How does it get... I forgot what I used to say because I started training myself to say, how does it get any better? But it used to be, what else is going to happen? And me looking for the other shoe to drop, right? Something else that was going to pile on to my frustration that I was already experiencing. And so, and that's an easy way for us to see the law of attraction in action is to be frustrated and have something go wrong. And then watch how much more, accumulates onto that. Where when things go right and it's like, now if we have the sneaky suspicion of, we don't believe that they can go that well, so we're waiting for something bad to happen to take us out of it, of course it's going to happen because we're creating it, right? But that's a topic for another video. This video on emotions and, frustration and aggravation, which is what started it for me, it's what they actually indicate in our lives, right? And so earlier this week, I was really frustrated and really aggravated, kind kind of at everybody and not at anything, right? I want a situation to change. I'm working to expand my business, right? This is the work that I do for myself, and it's not going as quickly or as much as I want it to, right? And so I'm frustrated. And what it comes down to, at the end of the day, when I actually look at that, is emotions are the universe's way of communicating to us. Now, whether you believe in God or the universe, I tend to use the universe in these situations, but use whatever term fits for you, right? Our emotions are direct line of communication with the universe. We are put here for a reason, right? We're all born with something in our hearts, something that we want to do, something, we each have talents and gifts. A lot of times what ends up happening is we ignore them to fit in. We ignore them to do what society says we should. We ignore that to try to play it safe. Which doesn't work anyway, because companies go under, pensions fail, it's all bullshit, but we buy into the bullshit, right? So we have to fit in. We have to, do X, Y, Z. So we ignore what we actually want. The frustration, the aggravation is the universe's way of saying, hey, you're going the wrong way. You were asking for this. This is what you wanted. And, you're going that way. Come back this way. So that's how we can know when we're off track, when we are not in the flow, working, co-creating with the universe, using the law of attraction to create the life that we want. That's where our emotions come into play. Now, the biggest thing, and probably the hardest thing, is giving up the damn expectations of how it has to turn out, right? So I have an expectation that in order to meet a certain income goal that I've set for myself, that my business has to grow in a set manner over this period of time, in order for me to achieve it. And I'm frustrated that I said it, it's not happening, right? But when I break it down, the frustration is I'm asking for more money, right? I'm expecting it to come this way through what I can offer, through what I can do, through my business. And I'm frustrated and aggravated that it's not happening. Now, the universe is actually saying like, hey, that's not what you're asking for. You're asking for more money, and being frustrated isn't going to create any more, of the money that I'm asking for. So what I have to do is give up the expectation of how it's going to show up, which is my way of doing things, right? All of the things that I can offer and do, and look at what's actually there. And so, I had received a job from a headhunter that I was like, no, I don't want to work for anybody else. Didn't even consider it, but that's the universe saying like, hey, you want more money? Here's a job for you. Even off, different things that can show up. And it's like, well, if we're not looking for that, then we can stay in the frustration and the aggravation that it's not going our way and it's not what we want. But that frustration and aggravation, those emotions are the universe saying like, hey, I got it over here. Just come this way. Now, we know when we're, working with the universe, when we are happy, when things are working out. Now, a lot of people are trained and have it ingrained in them that things don't work out and that we can't be happy, and that, if we are, then something bad does have to happen. And that's not true. It's just what we buy into. So, the universe wants to give us what we want. And when we follow that, that's where we're happy. That's when, things work, and they work without us actually having to figure it out. It shows up as an email of this, like, hey, you want more money? Here's an opportunity. Because for whatever reason, the stuff that I'm doing, and I actually, just as a side note, had a huge download awareness today of what I can do, what I can offer in a slightly different way. Now, it's going to take a little bit of time to get all of that set up, all the programs, all of those things. But in the interim, I want more money now. So, hey, if I can step into this role for a short period of time to create it, well, then the universe is giving me what I'm asking for. Now, I see this a lot, most of my focus has been on relationships. And, again, there's so many different relationships. Relationship to money, right? It's not showing up. This is what I'm asking for. And it's not showing up. So I can sit there in the frustration of it, which is not actually going to create more money for me. Or I can look at where it's coming from. Now, with people and relationships, this is huge, 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 right? We expect other people to act a certain way. We expect if somebody steps into a certain role, we give them expectations of what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to act, what they're supposed to deliver to us. And a lot of times, none of that is actually even said. It's assumed. And then when we don't get what we want, we get frustrated. Now, let's say, as an example, we're somebody who, let's see. Oh, there's so many good ones here. I'm going to do a sticky topic because that's the one that's popping, right? Let's talk about child support, right? We have a child with a person and we expect them to step into the role of a parent. We expect them to pay child support, to take care of their child, assuming that we're not together anymore, right? And a lot of times what happens is a party doesn't get what they want. Now, what are they asking for? Money for their child, right? The expectation and assumption is it has to come from the other parent. Now, I'm not going to get into the morality and, if you have a child, you need to take care of it. That's, I'm not delving into that because everybody has their own choice and I can't force anybody to choose anything. And so if you choose to have a child with somebody, one, maybe they didn't even really want that child to begin with and they just went along with it because you wanted it. And now they're like, oh, fuck. There's so many different ways the scenario could play out. So it's not even worth going in there. Now, if you want to delve into it more one-on-one, I'm available for that. But for the purpose of this video, let's just say, you have a child, you want to take care of it, right? That's why you want child support. You want the other person, you expect the other person and assume the other person is going to step into the role of the parent to take care of their child that you created together. And they don't. Now, instead of saying like, okay, I want more money for my child, I need to take care of them and I can't do it myself, what's available? We tend to focus and lock in on that person and punish them and try to manipulate them to step into paying and to, now I'm not saying don't go to court, don't file child support, don't, do what you have to do for your child. And if you're not getting the results there and you're just getting frustrated and you're just getting aggravated and upset that somebody's not acting the way you want, let go of that expectation because what you're asking for is more money for your child. Look for where else you can get it. Now, if we get locked into, I was really locked into, for myself, I didn't want another job, right? I did not want to work for somebody else. And close myself off from this avenue of, hey, universe, give me more money. Universe sends something in my inbox that says, hey, we're hiring, we'd love to have you, based off your experience. And, here would be some more money. I'm like, nope, delete, looking this way. So I'm completely missing it, right? If we're so locked into, you're the one that has to pay, you're the one that has to step up, you're the one that has to be there to take care of your child, then we might miss every single other opportunity because we're not looking for it, right? We're not looking to see what's actually possible. We're not in the question of, hey, I need to take care of my kid. They want to do X, Y, Z, or they need X, Y, Z. What's available? We're in the conclusion of, you have to pay, you're not doing it, I'm going to punish you, right? More frustration, more aggravation, not getting us what we want. Now, when we let go of that control, when we let go of that manipulation, and we're actually like, hey, in the question of what can we do to actually create more money for our child, something will show up, right? There's going to be people, there's going to be circumstances. It's just not going to look the way we think it should, which is the other parent stepping in. Now, it might. Right? They might actually, without that pressure on them, be like, this is the right thing to do. Let me pay for this. But if you've ever had somebody in your face trying to force you, eat, like even as a kid, eat your peas, eat your peas, eat your peas, eat your Brussels sprouts, more and more and more, dominating, controlling, do this, eat your plate. Does it make you want to do it? No, it probably makes you resent it. And it, for me, I actually learned that if I doused my whatever food I didn't want to eat with enough condiments that it was actually inedible because I would physically get sick and didn't have to eat it, right? So I learned a way around it because being forced into something doesn't feel good for anybody. And it doesn't matter what the situation is. I'm sorry. I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off with this, but it doesn't matter the situation. The basics are the same. And so, you know, it doesn't matter if you're trying to force somebody to eat your peas or force somebody to pay child support. You're still trying to force somebody to do something that they don't want to do, or maybe they can't do. So again, I'm not saying don't go to court, don't pursue, you know, whatever you have to for your child, but I am saying don't get so locked in that you can't see any other possibility and that you can't do anything else, and that your only focus then is resenting and hating and complaining about what's not being done for you, instead of actually looking to see what can be done for you. Okay, so our emotions are a huge indicator of what we're focusing on, right? Are we focusing on what we're actually asking for? Do we even know what we're asking for? Again, like in my case of having more money, my frustration and aggravation was because I wasn't getting it, but I was so focused and fixated on making it happen a certain way that I couldn't see anything else, right? So it's taking it back down to what is our request? What are we asking for the universe for? And now that I'm like, oh, right, you know, like here's something that's available, I'm questioning, now, you know, am I going to take that first job that came along? I don't know. We'll see what actually happens with it once I actually, you know, answer and go through the steps. But at least I'm now in the space of like, hey, universe, this is what I'm asking for, what's possible, right? And there's more lightness, there's no frustration, there's no aggravation, there's actually excitement to see, like, I wonder how I can make this show up, and I wonder how quickly I can make this show up, and I wonder what else is available, right? There's curiosity, there's wonder, there's excitement, there's joy at knowing that I'm actually on the path now to fulfilling what I'm asking for, right? Versus banging my head against a wall because it's not happening the way I think it should, how I think it should, and on the timeline that I think it should. So the universe is always, always, always working in our favor, and our emotions can be a huge, huge indicator of where we are with that and with that creation. But we're never told that, and we're never taught that. We're just taught, again, that we have emotions. So I hope this video was helpful to you. I'm actually going to be offering within hopefully the next week a free workbook called The 3-Step Process to Transforming Any Relationship, so that you can create your own happily ever after. So if you'd like to get that, you can shoot me an email at victoria@victorialongo.net, and I'll get you on the list for as soon as it's available. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with you next week. Next week, I'm actually going to take it back to creating a relationship and how to actually create a relationship that works for you. Now, this can be if you're just dating. If you are in a relationship, you can play with it. It might be a little bit more difficult because you can't change somebody, and if you already have them, they might not be what you're asking for. But we'll delve into, you know, some ways to actually create relationships that work for you. So I hope that you tune in next week, and I thank you for joining me today, and have a great weekend.